You opened Instagram to check one thing. 40 minutes later, you're watching some stranger's vacation in Santorini, and you don't even know how you got there. That's not relaxation, man. That's your brain getting picked apart. And we need to talk about it. Okay, so, real talk, I want to tell you about a version of myself from about a year ago. And this version, genuinely terrifying. Not in a dramatic way. Just in that quiet, creeping way where nothing is obviously wrong. But everything kind of feels wrong, and you can't figure out why. I was waking up and reaching for my phone before I even opened my eyes. Watching YouTube while eating. Listening to podcasts while walking. Scrolling Twitter in the bathroom. Checking Instagram for the 5th time in an hour, even though literally nothing new had happened. I wasn't consuming content, I was marinating in it. Just soaking. Like a sponge that forgot what dry even felt like. And here's the thing I couldn't shake. I felt exhausted, not physically, mentally. Like someone had their hand inside my skull and was slowly scooping everything out. My attention span? Gone. My ability to just sit with myself? Completely missing. My mood? Volatile? And kinda gray. So I did something that actually terrified me at the time. I quit social media, not reduced it, not mindful scrolling, just gone. And what happened over the next 3 to 4 months completely changed how I understand my own brain. This whole thing is about that. It's about what doom scrolling is actually doing to you. Not in some annoying, put your phone down and touch grass way, because that's lame, but in a real, honest, sometimes uncomfortable way. We're going to talk about what's happening neurologically, emotionally, even existentially. And I'm going to tell you about the specific moments that made me realize something had gone very wrong. And then, slowly, very right. Stay with me. This one actually matters. Let's start with what was happening in my brain at peak scroll. Picture this. It's 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. I've got actual work to do. I open my phone just to check one thing, and then it happens. Instagram, then a reel, then another reel. Then somehow I'm on YouTube. Then I'm bored of YouTube, so I open Twitter. Twitter's too stressful, so back to Instagram. Then I check my email for literally no reason. And then, and this part genuinely disturbed me when I noticed it, I opened the weather app. The weather app. I wasn't going outside. I didn't need to know the weather. I was just looking for something to look at. Something new. Something that would give me that tiny little ping my brain had started demanding every 30 seconds. That's not a quirk. That's a symptom. What was happening is what researchers call dopamine-seeking behavior loops. Your brain has this reward system. Dopamine hits when you see something novel, surprising, social. And social media is basically a slot machine built by people who understand this way better than you do. Every scroll is a pull of the lever. Sometimes you get a meme that makes you laugh. Sometimes you get something that makes you angry. Sometimes you get nothing. But that unpredictability, that's the whole point. Unpredictable rewards are way more addictive than guaranteed ones. So your brain gets trained. Boredom equals discomfort. Open phone equals relief. Over and over, hundreds of times a day, until it's not even a choice anymore. It's just what you do. You don't even notice you're doing it. And here's where it starts getting darker. When I finally quit, cold turkey, apps deleted, not even a peek, the first few days were genuinely uncomfortable. Not because I was missing anything important, but because I suddenly had to be somewhere, mentally be somewhere. I was walking to the grocery store and my hand kept drifting toward my pocket. I was sitting in a waiting room and I didn't know what to do with my eyes. I was eating lunch and there was just silence. And me, sitting in the silence. That sounds peaceful, right? It wasn't. Not at first. Because what I realized, and this is the part nobody really talks about, is that the constant scrolling wasn't just entertainment. It was escape. From what? From myself, mostly. From the low-grade anxiety of just existing. From thoughts I didn't want to sit with. From the weird ambient discomfort of being a person who doesn't have everything figured out. Social media is insanely good at making you feel like you're doing something when you're actually doing nothing. It gives you the feeling of connection without real intimacy, the feeling of being informed without real understanding, the feeling of entertainment without real enjoyment. It's like eating junk food that fills you up but leaves you malnourished. And here's the thing about doom scrolling specifically. It's not even pleasant. Studies show people feel worse after it, more anxious, more inadequate, more disconnected. We're not scrolling because it makes us happy. We're scrolling because we can't stop. There's a difference, and that difference matters. There's also this thing I think about a lot. I call it a personality crisis, though that sounds more dramatic than I mean. When you're in constant stimulation mode, you're never really with yourself. You're always processing someone else's content, someone else's opinions, someone else's life. And slowly, subtly, you start to lose the thread of your own. What do you actually think? What do you actually enjoy? What kind of person are you when nobody's watching? I genuinely didn't know. And that was one of the more unsettling realizations of my mid-20s. About 3 weeks in, something started to shift. I remember this one morning. I was walking somewhere. No headphones, no podcast, nothing. And I noticed the light on the buildings looked really beautiful. Like that perfect angle of morning sun that makes everything look slightly cinematic. And I just stood there for a second, looked at it. That sounds tiny, but I hadn't done that in years. Not because the light wasn't there, it was. I'd just been too deep in someone else's feed to ever look up. That's what constant stimulation does. It doesn't just take your attention, it takes your presence. Then my headphones broke. For a few weeks I couldn't use them. I expected it to suck. It was the opposite. I was more present at work. I noticed things I'd been tuning out for years. I felt, and I know this sounds slightly unhinged, happier. Not in a big montage way, just this quiet, low-grade contentedness. Like the background noise had finally been turned down, and I could hear what was actually going on around me, and it made me realize all that audio input, the podcast, the constant noise, that was escape too. I'd told myself it was self-improvement, you know? Always learning? But really I was just refusing to be where I was. Here's something else that happened. Time slowed down. I know that sounds nice. It is. But it's also kind of disorienting when you're used to the opposite. Before quitting, weeks just blurred together. Monday through Sunday, same gray smear of content and scroll and sleep. After quitting, a single week had texture. I could actually remember what happened on Wednesday, what the light looked like on Thursday morning, because I was actually there. And doom scrolling, it turns out, is one of the fastest ways to make time completely vanish. Here's the moment I keep coming back to. About 2 months in, I started drawing again. I hadn't drawn since high school. Didn't plan it. Just happened one afternoon when I was bored and my hands needed something to do. I sat there drawing badly for like an hour. And it was genuinely one of the better afternoons I'd had in years. Not because the drawing was good, it was terrible, but because for 1 hour I was completely absorbed in something that was only mine. No audience, no likes, no performance, just me and a piece of paper and the slow, satisfying work of making something. And that's when I understood what doom scrolling had actually stolen from me. Not just my time, not just my attention span, it had stolen my relationship with doing things for their own sake. With quiet, private joy that doesn't need to be shared or validated or turned into content. The apps aren't evil. The people who built them aren't cartoon villains. They were just optimizing for engagement, not for your well-being. And those two things aren't the same. Getting off social media didn't magically fix my life. I still procrastinate. I still have bad weeks, the anxiety, the urge to escape, the discomfort with stillness. None of that disappeared. It just became visible. And visible is better, because you can actually work with visible. So, here's what I want to leave you with. Quitting doom scrolling isn't really about the apps. Deleting Instagram is the easy part. The harder part is sitting with whatever the scrolling was covering up. The boredom, the restlessness, the unfinished thoughts, the uncomfortable feelings that are easier to scroll past than to actually feel. That's the real work, and it's slower and weirder and way less dramatic than any productivity hack you've seen. But from the other side, the world gets quieter, not in a sad way, in the way a room sounds after you turn off a fan you didn't even realize was running. You didn't know you were tense until you weren't anymore. You didn't know you were missing the light on the buildings until you finally looked up. Your attention isn't infinite. It gets used up, and right now, there are entire industries built to use it up as fast as possible. Knowing that doesn't make you immune, but it does give you a slightly better shot at choosing where it actually goes. The goal isn't to become some digital monk. The goal is just to be a little more present in your own life. To feel the hours as they pass, instead of looking up and realizing it's somehow been 3 years. To be bored sometimes, and see what happens. Because boredom, it turns out, isn't a problem to solve. It's the gap where your actual self starts to come back. And that self, the one that notices the light, that draws badly for an hour on a Tuesday, that slows down enough to actually taste things, that self is worth protecting. Even if it means putting your phone down. If this hit different, the next video goes even deeper into how to actually rebuild your attention span. Not with hacks, but with something that actually works. It's already on your screen. Go watch it.